The crisp evening air of downtown Portland carried the faint scent of fallen leaves and the whisper of coming rain. At a corner table outside Café Bellecourt, David Harrison sat quietly, watching the city ease into its nightly rhythm of lights and movement. At 62, the successful head of Harrison Industries had come to treasure these still moments. A brief pause before the constant hum of meetings and decisions resumed. His half-eaten plate of pasta sat untouched. Lately, food didn't taste the same. 2 years had passed since his wife, Patricia, had died, and though time had dulled the sharpness of his grief, meals alone still felt incomplete. He looked at his old Rolex, the one Patricia had given him on their 25th anniversary, and sighed. The night stretched ahead, empty and quiet. Across the street, life continued. Strangers passing, laughter from the café door, the distant hum of a bus. Then he noticed her. A young woman approached, holding a baby wrapped in a handmade blanket. Her clothes were modest and worn, her steps cautious but steady. The steps of someone carrying not just a child, but the weight of survival. When her eyes met his, David saw both exhaustion and strength. She hesitated before speaking. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly. "I noticed you weren't finishing your meal. May I have your leftovers?" The request hung in the cool evening air. In decades of business and travel, David had been asked for money countless times, but never like this. There was no manipulation in her voice, just quiet honesty. "Of course," he said, pushing back his chair. "Would you like to sit down?" The woman blinked, uncertain. "I don't want to intrude." "You're not intruding," David said kindly. "Please." As she sat, gently rocking her baby, he signaled the waiter. "Another serving of pasta," he ordered, "and a cup of tea for the lady." "You don't have to do that," she murmured. "I know," David said, smiling, "but I want to. Before we continue, if stories of real human kindness touch your heart, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Kindness Treasury, and join our growing family of hope and compassion. Every act of kindness counts, including yours. Her name was Christina, and the baby, 4 months old, was Lily. Over dinner, she shared pieces of her story. She'd come to Portland escaping an abusive home, found a diner job, then lost it when the place suddenly closed. For now, she lived at a women's shelter. Tomorrow, she had a housekeeping interview at a downtown hotel. "It's not much," she said quietly, "but it's a start." David listened, thinking of his own daughter, Sarah, now grown with children of her own. What if Sarah had ever faced such hardship? When the meal arrived, Christina ate slowly, one hand always resting protectively on Lily's blanket. The sight moved him deeply. The quiet strength of a mother who refused to give up. "How old is Lily?" he asked. 4 months next week, Christina said, her face softening. "Sometimes I think she knows we're in this together." David chuckled. "They always do. My daughter was like that. Patient, wise beyond her years." They talked for nearly an hour. About dreams deferred and dreams reborn. About Patricia and the foundation he'd started with her years ago. One that helped families rebuild their lives. As the cafe lights dimmed and the city quieted, David reached into his jacket and pulled out a card. "Christina," he said, writing on the back, "call this number tomorrow morning. Ask for Helen Martinez. She runs our family assistance program." Christina looked puzzled. "Why are you doing this?" "You don't even know me." "Because someone once did the same for me," he said softly. 35 years ago, I was a young father struggling to make ends meet. A stranger saw something in me, gave me a job, a chance, and believed before I did. I've never forgotten that. Christina's eyes glistened with tears. "I'll call," she whispered. "Thank you." Before she left, David asked, "That job interview tomorrow, what time?" 10 at the Marriott downtown. David smiled. "Tom Bradley's an old friend. I'll give him a call tonight." just to make sure they see what I saw. Courage. 6 months later, a letter arrived at David's office. Inside was a photo of Lily, smiling in a small apartment filled with sunlight. Christina had gotten the job, moved into stable housing, and started taking night classes for nursing school. Her letter read, "You showed me that asking for help isn't shameful, and that accepting kindness isn't weakness. You reminded me that we're all family, even strangers." David folded the letter and placed it beside Patricia's photo. He looked out over the city, remembering that autumn night, how one simple act of generosity had bridged 2 lives and rekindled something in his own heart. Later that evening, he called his daughter. "I've been thinking about something your mother used to say," he told Sarah. "That everyone deserves a second chance." "Yes," David said. "But I think she'd add that sometimes giving someone else a second chance gives you one, too." The Portland air still carried the scent of rain, but to David it now smelled like grace. The quiet, unseen kind that begins with a small request and grows into something far greater. A reminder that kindness never ends, it only circles back home. If this story touched your heart, share it. You never know whose life your kindness might change next. Subscribe to Kindness Treasury, where every story reminds us that compassion is humanity's greatest treasure.